All right, welcome in. Cube Show Podcast, college football podcast. Should I just go ahead and start saying that comes to you on Mondays? I think that's probably what it's going to be. Brought to you by Wickles Pickles. We got a lot to get to today. It was a crazy weekend of college football, an insane weekend in the SEC. First time ever that two top five teams in the Associated Press from the Southeastern Conference lost to unranked teams. It had never happened before. Vanderbilt had never defeated an AP number one or an AP top five team. So we've got things that have never taken place happening in college football and in the Southeastern Conference. We're going to get to all of them. Not a ton of games, but I'm going to let you know what I saw in the film. And a lot of you are mad, a lot of you are angry, and we're going to talk about maybe what it was that can be repaired, what can't be repaired, who did what here over the next couple of minutes. Brought to you by Wickles Pickles, wickedly delicious. If they're not in your grocery store, tell them you need them. Wickles Pickles, just go tell them. Say, why don't you guys have Wickles on the shelves? We need those here. Go to WicklesPickles.com. You can order them for yourself. They'll drop ship them to you. Also get some of the gear there. You can support that around. Wickles Pickles, at Wickles Pickles, Instagram, Twitter. We appreciate them sponsoring the show. They are the title sponsor of the show, so please take care of them. Help them out the way that they've helped us out. All right, let's roll right into it. Right out of the gate, Alabama 35, Vanderbilt 40. First win against an AP number one team. Vanderbilt was 0-10 all time. First win against an AP top five team. They were 0-60 all time in those games. Most points against an AP top five team. Second most points ever against Alabama. It was a historic win for this Vanderbilt program. I was in Nashville on the call with the game for Tom Hart and Alyssa Lang. It was really cool to go to Alabama practice Friday, be around Coach DeBoer, his staff. They were very welcoming. Got to see kind of the way practice is handled in a little bit of a different way. Players more vocal at practice. He wants guys standing up, utilizing that voice, utilizing their leadership. I know some of it didn't show its face late in the game. We'll talk about that. But I still have confidence that Kalen DeBoer is the right guy for this job. I know that it's Vanderbilt, but that's a place we have to sort of reprogram our brains a little bit, retrain our brains. It can't just be lost to Vanderbilt, so it's unacceptable. It's a different Vanderbilt football team. And Clark Lee's done a lot of things to reshape what this team is and how this team operates. Bama goes to 4-1, Vandy now 3-2. Jalen Milroe played good football. 18 of 24, 310, touchdown, the one pick. I don't really think that's on him. I didn't think it was pass interference. It's just a bang-bang play, and the ball happened to pop up, then pop down. You have a linebacker that goes out there and runs it in for a touchdown. Vanderbilt jumps on him, and then the next drive takes it into the end zone. So you give credit to Randon Fontanet for making that play. Pardon me there. And then give credit to this Vanderbilt team for having a plan and sticking to it. This is what I thought was most impressive about this game. Tim Beck, offensive coordinator for Vandy, he knew what he needed to do inside this football game. Now, the entire staff knew, control the football, don't give up explosive plays, all that. But offensively, we talk about this on Read and React tonight. I'll show you a couple of examples of this play. So you saw him in pistol formation, and Diego Pavia turns and kind of hands the football to one side. So that is an inside zone read, but they read it opposite. So they're running inside zone to the right, and he reads it backside. Well, going through the film, the different things that they did off of this play. They handed it off. They handed it off front side and backside. Pavia kept the ball on a quarterback run, kept it and pitched it. So you had that option as well. And that was the play that they faked and then would run the shovel pass off of later. The 4th and 1, the long touchdown pass, that formation, that fake. Now that was a little bit of Pavia wizardry where he was able to get that ball down the field, which, by the way, I don't think we've given enough credit to Junior Sherrill for going and getting under that football and making that catch. Because being up in the booth, when I saw that ball sort of hit its peak, he and I think it was Malachi Moore were kind of tied up. And I'm like, there's no way he gets under that football. And he made the adjustment. And he was able to get under it and make the catch. More important, I think it was about 5 or 6 plays prior, he's down the sideline for first down yardage and has a ball go right through his hands. So the confidence to come back to him, for him to bounce back from that and then go make that play, outstanding on his part to be able to go and do that. So Tim Beck's plan of presenting that singular play and then adding and subtracting to it off of that. There was jet motion that came, and you saw the sweeps, you saw the read and the power play inside, you saw the boot off of that, you saw quick throws to the tight end, some play action off that. Everything started there. Why did it work, though? Because he stuck with it. And on an annual drive basis, stayed with it and then got an idea how Alabama was going to play it. And Kane Womack told me before the game, he said, we have to change up how we play the mesh. We cannot play it one way. They'll eat us alive. Yes, I know you're sitting there saying to yourself, they ate them alive anyway. But you had to at least alter what you were going to do. And I didn't think it was a terrible performance up front. I didn't think the linebackers played well. I thought watching it the first time that Jahad Campbell did some good things, not a great game. Maybe not as good as I thought second time around when I went back and watched it again today. Deontay Lawson misread some things, played under some blocks that he needed to play over. And I thought those two were gassed late in the game. I mean, 42 minutes of possession for Vanderbilt is unbelievable. All right, guys, I want to tell you about Prize Picks quickly. The most fun you're going to have this football season testing your skills is at Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com, use promo code CUBE right now, and you're going to be able to play $5 and get $50 guaranteed. Promo code CUBE at prizepicks.com. Play $5 in lineups, and you're going to immediately get $50 to play right there at Prize Picks. Do like I did right there. Go to the app on your phone, go log in, check it out, get that deposit going, and you're going to be able to go play right now. The most fun you're going to have this football season. Test your skills on Prize Picks. Most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. If you got the skills, you can turn $10 into $1,000 with just a few taps. College football is coming up this weekend. You're going to be able to get your lineups going. We got DJ Giddens, LaJohntay Webster, Avery Johnson, Dylan Gabriel, Will Howard. I'm just looking at different ways, whether it be Demons and Goblins, your lineups, different yardage that you're going to use for multiple players. Easy to win, and it's legal. So go check it out right now. PrizePicks.com. That's PrizePicks.com, promo code CUBE. Go up there, get $5 in, and they'll give you $50 right away to go play lineups at PrizePicks.com or get on the app like I've got right here. PrizePicks.com, promo code CUBE. Offer weekly promotions that can lead to gigantic payouts like Taco Tuesday, discounted select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value. So prizepicks.com is where you need to be this football season. Go have the most fun by using Prize Picks, prizepicks.com, promo code CUBE. We need you to get set up now and get that $5 in lineups, and you're going to get $50 to play with promo code CUBE, CUBE. Go download the app and go check out what you can find at Prize Picks. But when you go back and look at the different players that they read, how Pavia worked the mesh, quick, deliberate throws out in the flat and some down the field, they knew where they wanted to get the football against this defense and had an idea of how it was going to come up and try and play the ball and play the mesh. And it was changed. It was altered. For the folks saying, why weren't there any adjustments? Why did Bama not do anything different? They did have some adjustments. They did some things differently. They changed the front a little bit. I think if Kane Womack could do it again, he probably would have played things a little bit more aggressively in nature. He would have attacked a little bit more. And there were a couple of times when a defender did attack and Pavia would scoop it out, or he had a pump fake and make a guy miss. He's a wizard, man. Diego Pavia is a freaking wizard. And his sorcery when manipulating that mesh and those reads and those fakes is just tough to deal with. I had him last year at New Mexico State when they played at UTEP. Obviously watched the Auburn game last year. I studied his film last year to prepare for that game, and I'm like, this guy, he is a perfect fit for what they do. And Tim Beck is patient calling it. He understands what to set up, what to wait for, and when to attack. And there were massive conversion downs that were taken into account for Diego Pavia in this offense. He was 8 of 10 for 100 yards on third down. He converted 7 third downs on 8 completions. He also ran the ball, I think, 4 times on third down and converted 2 of those. So when you're going to move the sticks like that, and you get a break early and jump up on the scoreboard, it relaxes you, number one, and number two, it allows you to play a little bit a different way. You don't have to be as high risk. You don't have to press for points, which I do think Alabama started to press for points a little bit. I think if I was going to pick Alabama's plan apart offensively, it would be that they probably were feeling a little bit of pressure to go put points on the board. Either one, thought that Vanderbilt was going to continue to score, or two, when you had to start playing from behind a little bit, thought that was problematic. Jalen Milroe played a good game. Robbie Utes played a good game. Ryan Williams played a good game. Jeremy Bernard, the catch that he stuck to the side of the helmet on the sidelines, amazing catch. That's probably not getting enough credit. I thought the backs were pretty good out of the backfield. One, blocking, and then two, when they got limited carries, able to go out and do that. But it's early fourth quarter, and we go to break, and in the booth, for you, those of you that don't know, you have a spotter and you have a stats guy. The spotter helps point out like who made the interception or made a tackle, and then stats guy for different things. And our stats guy, Greg, who was up there, who does an awesome job, we go to break, and I'm like, hey, can you try and track how many times Alabama has run the football on consecutive downs? Because the difference, Tom kept asking me during the game, what is wrong with Alabama's defense? What is wrong with Alabama's defense? I didn't view it as something being wrong as I did the patience, the setup, the execution of the Vanderbilt offense. And I know it hurts to hear that sometimes, but every now and then you get got. It just is what it is. And Vanderbilt was on one. They had an idea of how things were going to be played, and they took advantage of it. But that patience is what you have to be able to do that. And Tim Beck had it. So he'd set them up. Okay, crash in the mesh. All right, cool. So we're going to try to get a little jet sweep going here, or we're going to try to get a power play to the outside going. Okay, cool. They're slow playing it. We either want to run split zone and kick him with a tight end and try to get inside, or let's arc the tight end out since he's slow playing it. We'll arc the tight end out, use the back as a lead blocker, and then get out in the perimeter and run the ball that way. Everything set everything else up. I don't know how much of that I saw from the Alabama offense, mainly because it became so one-dimensional. So Greg comes back to me and he says, 3. Now, it would end up being 4 in the game. 2 of those second runs went for touchdowns. That doesn't mean that they would have run for 7 more touchdowns, but it does mean that the second time they did it, they had some success. I understand the pressure that was on. I understand situational football probably told you a lot of those times not to go out there and do that. But when I saw the first play from scrimmage and Tyler Booker, Parker Brailsford's up on a linebacker, and Booker's getting a good push, and Proctor's getting a good push, and I don't know what it was, like 4-6 yards, whatever. It wasn't a big gain. But I said to myself, okay, they can live there. They can get a consistent push, and they can get this run game going, and that can be a part of what they do today. And I just don't feel like they stayed committed to it. I just don't feel like they said, we are going to play bully ball, we're going to impose our will, and this is going to be how we win this football game. It's not that Jalen Milroe couldn't be successful. It's not that the receivers couldn't get open. And I also will say, part of defensively what Clark Lee was doing was presenting pass plays to be there. Now, not over the top as much, because Clark told us, he's like, I asked him, I said, do you play a similar plan to what you did against Missouri? Play back, play cloud coverage, give up the underneath, make them run the football, essentially make them work and hope for a mistake or hope for you to make a big play. And I thought Vanderbilt did that early, but then they got away from it a little bit. You saw the one-on-one shots. I mentioned Bernard got one. The Ryan Williams catch is insane, man. How he didn't go out of bounds on that play, I still don't know. I was convinced, Tom was too, we talked about it in the break, that he went out of bounds right there. And he's full speed, turn, jump, floating, catch, turn, after catch while still in air, on ground, boom, back to full speed. Here's some cool stuff about Ryan Williams real quick. All right, so I talked to David Ballou about him, and Alabama's strength coach, if you're not aware. And Coach Ballou said he may be the most explosive player we've ever had since his time at Alabama. He said the only comp is Jalen Waddle. There's the only one that the numbers on this graph are even close to. Now, some of this is kind of hard to follow. I get it. I tried to explain it on the broadcast. I don't know if it made any sense. It's rate of force development is what this is. And his rate of force development is 0.15 seconds. What that number means is that they have a platform, and I think you jump on it and then you land and jump off as quickly as you can to get back to full force. There are some other ways that they do it, but I think that's like the main way. It measures how quickly you can get to your full potential force output. So your max force, how fast you do that. And he does it in 0.15 seconds. So Coach Blue was telling me, when you see him running and it looks like he's not trying, or you see him change direction and it looks effortless, that's why. Is because he can get to full output in an instant, 0.15 seconds. And it was crazy because I talked to Jeff Kelly, his high school coach at Saraland, and he said, I kind of told him what Blue was telling me. He's like, Cole, it's hilarious because he goes, I used to chew him out at practice on a regular basis because I thought he was loafing. And then I just realized that that's how it looked when he goes full speed, and it's faster than everyone else. Jeff Kelly told me a story about how he became a quarterback. They had a wide receiver named Gerald Williams. He's at West Virginia now. And Gerald had a bad day of practice. And at this point in time, Ryan was a quarterback. And Ryan's cousin was Chris Abrams' Drain at Spanish Fort. And everybody in the family and whatever and around all thought that Ryan Williams could be like the next Chris Abrams' Drain. And so going in game week of the first game his freshman year, they didn't really have a legit number 2 wide receiver. And Gerald Williams stays after practice. He tells Ryan, like, hey, I need you to come throw to me, run some routes. I screwed up a couple times, whatever. And he said he was there with Brett Boutwell, their receivers coach, and he runs a comeback. Because after he was done throwing to Gerald, I guess he wanted to run some routes. He runs this comeback route. And he said, when I saw him come out of his break, Cole, we knew, he said, that's our guy. That's our next receiver. And then once he got going, they were like, this kid's going to be next level. And Jeff Kelly tried to warn people at media day going into his sophomore year. He said, this kid's about to take over Alabama football. Like, just wait. And if you look at his high school numbers, they're just stupid. They're dumb. But also told me, and I thought this was pretty cool. We didn't get to get this out in the game. Jeff Kelly also told me that Ryan Williams is the most confident human being that he's ever met, but he's not arrogant, not cocky. He's football smart, elite understanding of defenses, routes, concepts, all of it, splits, formations, everything. But one of the cooler things that I thought he said was he is not surprised in the least when he does the things that he does. But not arrogant, but expects to be doing crazy things. And I don't want to say this because I think we're all tired of it, but Jeff brought it up. And he said the whole age thing. He said, so everybody talks about that, right? Like 17, he's doing 17 against 22-year-olds. He's like, it doesn't surprise me at all. He said the thing that people have to understand is when he was 14, he was doing this against 17-year-olds. And it looked exactly the same, if not worse, because it's a bigger step up to SEC football. He said he's been doing it against guys a couple years older than him and making them look bad for a long time. And he said part of that might be where he grew up. He, Cordell Flott, who played at LSU, and Velus Jones played at Tennessee, grew up in like a 300-yard radius of each other. And apparently they were like best friends and competed all the time. Football, basketball, baseball, whatever. Well, he was the runt of the crew. Those two are like physically, freak shows also. But he's younger. So you can imagine like backyard football games, I don't care if it's war ball, whatever, wiffle ball, like tag. I mean, he's having to try to keep up with those kind of guys the majority of his life. Also said that he has an innate ability to mentally get himself in a position that he believes he should be doing the things that he's doing. So like mentally, he can get there in an instant and he can convince himself, I am going to go beat this human being on this route, catch this football, make this play. He just takes himself there. So a cool conversation with Jeff. I'm really, really appreciative of him spending some time with me. He says he's the most competitive guy he's ever been around. And it was special, that play. I mean, I think Lynn Swann is the only comp I can come up with. And if you guys have not seen Lynn Swann highlights, just go watch the Super Bowl catch on the sideline against the Cowboys. And part of it you'll see with that Ryan Williams catch that he had in this game. 22.4 miles an hour. He's been clocked on the catapult GPS. That's big time speed. Like Tyreek Hill is like 23s. So yeah, he's moving big time. Some receiver depth issues though for Alabama because Kendrick Law doesn't play. Kobe Prentice goes out of the game. And you got a couple of these other guys that have been dinged. Like Cole Adams comes in, but he's not 100%. So he's having to get reps. And then you got a freshman in Williams having to play. Caleb Odom got some reps. They want to try to get him going. I talked to Jamarcus Shepard about him. He wants him to get more reps. He thinks he can sort of be that physical receiver like Kendrick Law has been. They want to get him going. But I was just disappointed that there wasn't more Jam Miller, who's a 600-pound squatter, by the way, and Justice Haynes downhill. I felt like they could have lived there. And, I mean, you get Book, Proctor, Roberts, and C.J. Dupree, all 500-pound benchers, and you put Dupree in line, and you're telling me you don't think you can get downhill against the Vanderbilt front. Like, I believe that you can. It's not a knock on the Vandy front. Hell, that's about any front. I think they'd be able to pull that off. Robbie Utes, the dirty work that he does, like, does not get enough credit. Like, Robbie Utes is 270, man. Like, that's a light center in the SEC, which, by the way, Brailsford's up to 289 for the folks that were wondering if weight-wise he would be okay. Booker's down to 335. So that was the part that I questioned a little bit. I do understand circumstantially kind of where they were in the game and what was happening in the score and all of that. And Milroe played great. He played great football. And you don't want to take it out of his hands because he's your best playmaker. But ultimately, Vanderbilt did. It wasn't about what Alabama was doing wrong. It was about what they could not do. Who are Alabama's best football players? Jalen Milroe, Ryan Williams, Tyler Booker should be up there. No one's mentioned. I've asked like 5 people that question. None of them have mentioned 52. He should be on that list. Maybe Jam Miller you would throw in there. Jeremy Bernard probably needs to be in that conversation. Like, those are the best players. Those are the best playmakers. They weren't on the field. They didn't have a chance to take the game over. So defensively, did the linebackers look lost at times? Yes. Did the edge defenders always defend it correctly? No. Thought Quindarius Robinson had a nice game. I thought, he got in the backfield. He attacked. He had some good pass rush reps. Didn't see much from Quay Russaw. He was a guy that I thought could be impactful in this game. But also, maybe he needed to be turned loose in a game like this and just full bore attack mode. Just tee off on people. Because like I said before, and I think Kane would agree with this. If you could do it again, you'd probably say to yourself, okay, we can't let that kid get that comfortable again. Go look at the Georgia State film. They attacked him. They attacked upfield, and Vandy got a couple plays on him. They attacked the mesh. They sacked him, got the ball out. I think it was the second, third play of the game. And Alabama has the athletes to do that. I think that's what you would probably see be a little bit different if they could do it again. But you had some breakdowns in coverage. There were a couple of shots on third down conversions that I thought safety and linebackers could have taken that they kind of strolled up to and didn't get that extra hit. There's one play where Red Morgan is bringing down Eli Stowers, and he's kind of inching forward for first down yardage, and Malachi Moore comes up and just kind of like jogs up, make sure he's going down. Well, he picks up a first down. If you sprint to that and take him out, or I'm not trying to say anything illegal, or you go put a hit on him, maybe he doesn't get first down yardage. And maybe Eli Stowers doesn't get as comfortable as he did and have the kind of game that he did because he was fantastic. He had a hell of a game. Pavia was 16 of 20, 252, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He rushed 20 times for 56 yards, 54 carries for 166 yards for Vanderbilt. Bama had 21 for 84. And, there were 13 combined points that Vanderbilt scored in their 5 games against Nick Saban. So I understand the comparison is going to start and you're going to get mad. This is a different Vanderbilt team, man. This is a different program. We had a really cool conversation with Clark Lee and talked about NIL and talked about character development, people development, personalities. And he said, I've had to rewire. I started over. Said he sat in his office for like a week. And he said, I just want to win. He's like, I was effing sick of it. I want to win. And so started doing things to gear everything that they do towards winning. And he said, part of that is your best players have to play. They have to be available. He's like, so if a guy acts like an a-hole, instead of making him run or not be at practice or putting him on third team, we just deal with it. And that guy's got to go because he's going to help us win. He has to go. He has to play. And that's hard for him because he's old school disciplinarian. And Clark does a really good job with sort of the mental side of it, the physiological side of it, I guess. Like, he in his past spent a lot of time on building the human, building the person, the character. And it's not that he's throwing that out, but you think about it. And it's the reason I asked him about it is because he's been spending all this time on this and then just handing that off to other people. Anthony Steen, Ray Davis, London Humphreys. Like these guys, he's building these characters and making them great humans, and then just the other guy gets to finish with that. So they said, we're going X's and O's. We're going football. Now, he brings in Jerry Kill, who is awesome, and Tim Beck comes with him, and Diego Pavia. And let me just say this quickly for everybody out there that's tweeting it and talking about it. The whole Auburn could have had Diego Pavia for a Snickers bar and $3 or whatever the hell you're talking about. That ain't real. Number one, because Diego ain't going anywhere without Jerry Kill. You need to know the core of that relationship before you have that conversation and let those words come out of your mouth. And Tim Beck, I think, is a big part of that also. So just understand it before you talk about it, because that is as real as it gets. And I don't think Pavia is playing anywhere without Jerry Kill. I don't think Jerry Kill would go to another place where he wasn't going to go either. So that is simpatico to the nth degree. But he has reworked this thing. You get Eli Stowers, who is an elite quarterback commit that goes to Texas A&M, goes to New Mexico State, is learning how to play tight end and just getting into the mix. He's still learning the position. He's not a finished product by any stretch of the imagination, but the kid's going to get drafted as a tight end because he's a superb athlete, and he's one of these like Dawson Knox. There's this Caden Priestcorn. There's this lineage, Travis Kelce. All these tight ends are former quarterbacks now, so they understand how it works. But this team, they just got some dudes, man. Like Gabe Fisher, the fullback, 44, national championship wrestler. He's a former walk-on. He's on an ROTC scholarship now. Like, how freaking cool is that? So they're doing what they have to do to get the players in. They are allowing things to be a little bit less militant, maybe is the word. And it's working. The kids are playing their rear ends off. Jaheim Otis hit the portal today. I thought Tim Smith did a couple of decent things. I thought Overton was out of position. I thought Jamarian Latham was a little bit disruptive. The linebackers struggled. The safeties were supposed to be there in the alleys and run support more. And I thought they let motion and I thought they let play fakes get the best of them. Their eyes were stolen in this game. And the last thing that I'm going to say about it, I'm going to say one more thing about this game. This game was not gifted. This game was not given. This game was not a fluke. This game was not even lost. This game was won. Vanderbilt took this game. They won this game. Period. Point blank. Plain and simple. That was that. All right, on to Georgia 31, Auburn 13. Auburn 2-4, Georgia 4-1. This was a very felt like a very workmanlike game for Georgia. Not an overly complex plan. Some of the stem on defense, I think, helped them a little bit. I didn't think that this was one where when you saw it, it was, oh man, look what Georgia put in. Like, look what Georgia changed, and like, look how they did different things. I thought 93 really showed up for that Georgia defense. I thought he did some really good things. Speed to power was pretty good. His hands were good against the run game. I thought 8 did some good things up front. I thought 17 played a really nice game. I still love seeing my guy 29 go down inside and do different things for this Georgia defense. He's not supposed to be down there, but he makes it work. 52 had a couple of decent plays. The speed of the linebackers was evident in this game. 10 can obviously run. And seeing those guys get sideline to sideline, they negated a lot of potential positive plays for the Auburn offense. The Auburn misdirection was pretty good. I thought it was one of the better games the Auburn offensive line has played. It's just you still get whiffs by the left tackle. The first play of the game, it's a turn protection, and you just let a guy run by you. It can't happen. So it's those kind of breakdowns that just – like some breakdowns like that for some offenses slow a team down. For Auburn, it feels like they run into a wall when those things happen. But I do think the tight end position, not 13, but 86, 84 are giving him a little bit more there. Keandre Lambert-Smith's playing great football. Like, he's turning into a dog for this team. He does a lot to be able to help them. I thought the running backs played well. I thought they ran hard. I thought Jarquez ran hard. I thought his vision was right where it needed to be, knowing that some of these plays were going to cut back because those linebackers were so fast. And I thought the plan was pretty good. Like Peyton Thorne had a couple of good throws. He fit the ball in. He got the ball out on time. And it comes down to one big mistake that everybody's going to focus on again. And I'll just say this about the 4th and 1 play. I don't know what happened, but I also don't think we know, based on what we've heard or been told, that it happened that way. Because when I watch the defense and the play, and if it's a lead off tackle, which it wasn't blocked like, it was blocked like duo, and Jarquez doesn't run a running back track there. It's a mesh, and he turns and goes to the edge defender, which should have been the read player on that play if that's what it was. But it looked like Thorne was reading the overhang. He wasn't going to, I don't think he makes that play anyway. I do feel like if you run like inside zone to the left right there, you probably pick up first down yardage. It's 21-10 at that point. You had 4 stoppages left in the game. It's the end of quarter, so you had 5 minutes to discuss what you were going to do and how you were going to do it. 5. Okay, this is the play, this is the formation, this is the snap count. If we get this, let's go to this. If we get this, don't run it. If we get this, go. Sprint to the line, look over. Whatever it was that you wanted to do, the operation should have been known. In any confusion that presented itself, why do you not call the timeout there? 3 timeouts and a 2-minute timeout with a quarter of football left, 11-point game. There are too many questions in my mind for it to be as simple as Peyton went up there and changed the play. I don't know. I wasn't there. I wasn't on the sideline. I wasn't in the huddle. I didn't see what he did, but some of it doesn't make sense. That's all I'm saying. Some of it doesn't make sense. And also at the end of the day, it doesn't have to matter. Like, fix it. Repair the stuff. Because there are these critical moments in games, time and time and time again, when things are falling apart. That can't happen. Not in those moments. They have to be repaired. Finding ways to lose games. It's not acceptable, especially when you got some guys that are playing hard. And I thought for the most part, a lot of guys played hard. I thought the center played hard. I thought the right guard played really well. Yes, he had one bear hug for all the screenshotters out there on a touchdown run. It was egregious. But you're posting that, trying to make people think that was happening the entire game, and it wasn't. Because I can go pull screenshots on the other side. That's why I don't play that game. It's dumb. Don't be a penalty vulture 1. Don't play that game 2. Especially the football guys out there. You're better than that. The receivers multiple times could have helped a play be explosive and are just not even willing to get in front of someone. There's still defenders on the back end that are avoiding contact. Why are you in a football uniform if you don't want contact? Someone has to explain that to me. I don't know what to do with that. If you put pads on, but you don't want to hit someone. So Georgia gets a comfortable win. Carson Beck, 23 of 29. I thought he was super efficient. I thought he was deliberate. It felt like he knew exactly where he was going to go with the ball. And it wasn't a complicated plan. 240, 2 touchdowns, no picks. 18 16 for 88. It felt like 388. I'm just going to be honest with you. Because whether it was outside zone, inside zone, counter, toss, draw, whatever, it felt like he made 2 people miss every time he touched the ball. Scored 2 touchdowns. And I'm going to tell you, when I saw 88 yards after watching the film, I was like, no way. 288 maybe. You saw the explosive capability that he brings. And he's got to continue, I think, to be more and more involved because he is that kind of a player. Like, he can change things. He can be an explosive play machine. Peyton Thorne, 16 of 27, 200 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. 13 carries, 22 yards. Jarquez, 13 for 91 and a touchdown. Should have been more. 13. That's no. Gotta be more. So now is the turning point for Auburn. A lot of people thought the turning point was going into this game. Let me tell you guys something. It ain't hard to get hyped for Georgia. It's not difficult to mentally prepare to play the Georgia Bulldogs. It isn't. It's not. Never has been, never will be. Not in an Auburn uniform, not walking around in Auburn, Alabama. It's not. Now is when we find out. Now is when a lot of folks are going to look in the mirror and have to decide, do we figure this out? Do we keep playing this hard? And do we try to go get some wins? Or do they pack it in? I'm not saying anybody's quit or think they're going to quit, nothing like that. But the level of intensity cannot dip. You're not good enough for that to beat some of the teams left on the schedule. It's got to continue to go up, and then the execution has to be better. And then you add, subtract certain things from a game plan perspective to hopefully give you an opportunity to win a couple of games. All right, Texas A&M 41, Missouri 10. Before I get to that one, speaking of College Station, I know there's a lot of folks there wearing Blue Delta jeans, like my guy Billy Lucci. Go check them out at bluedeltajeans.com. Custom fit, the best denim you'll ever have. You won't want another pair of jeans ever. Breathable, stretchy. Even in the summer, you're going to love Blue Delta jeans. They can fit them digitally, so you can go there online. Gift card, Christmas coming up, birthdays maybe. bluedeltajeans.com. Go see what they have. They got some jackets now, shorts. You got hats, other gear, belts. bluedeltajeans.com. Check them out. Tell them you heard about them right here on Cube Show. You will not regret buying a pair of those jeans. I promise. 41-10 A&M over Missouri. I didn't see this coming. I'll be the first one to admit I was wrong on this game. I picked Missouri to win this game. I thought they could neutralize the A&M front with the stretch play. Get them running, east-west, east-west. Like get Scorton and Turner and those guys out on the perimeter, then get the cutback runs with Nate Noel. And sometimes, like Paul asked me about this on his show earlier, sometimes I think we take for granted the first time in a season when you get kicked in the junk. It hurts, takes your breath away, you don't know how to react, you're not sure how to respond, you don't really know what to do, you're looking around to see what other people are doing, and you don't know how that's going to go. And that's what Missouri just had. This is the first time that somebody kicked them in the teeth this year. Did they react well? Meh, probably not. I think Eli and company probably like to see them react a little bit differently. We got Luther Burden over there on the bench, and body language wasn't great for multiple guys. But you also credit A&M with doing the punching, because this defensive plan was masterful. Some of it is just guys that are better than other guys, just being real with you. Third, fourth play of the game, Nick Scorton tees off on an offensive tackle on a stretch play, puts him about 4 yards in the backfield, and it goes for no gain, and you knew right then it's going to be a long day. Because Missouri builds most of what they do on that play. And if that play's going, you're in trouble, because they're going to boot off of it. They're going to give you jet motion. They're going to give you split motion. They're going to steal your eyes. They're going to be cutbacks off of it. They're screen it, everything. So I think A&M said right away, no, sir. If you get outside on us and you get us reached, good for you, but it's going to be 2 yards in the backfield. So you got a nice little hump you got to run around. And we think our other guys can get there and clean that up. Inside, no, sir. It just wasn't happening. Nick Scorton had one of his better games. I mean, it was impressive to see the things he was doing. Shamar Turner impacted the game. Don't look at the box score. He impacted the game. That's it. That's all you need to know. He impacted the game. 254 yards for Missouri in this game, total yards. It's the lowest since week 10 of 2022. And it wasn't just him up front. I mean, it was multiple defenders on that A&M defensive line that were causing problems. And I tell you, I don't think I have seen as many free runners at the quarterback this year combined as I saw in this game. Quarter slide, half slide, full slide. The slide protection epidemic reared its ugly head again in this game. And it was not fun to watch for me because it wasn't working. The protection plan versus the attack of the protection was this far apart. Kudos to Elko and Jay Bateman. Again, sometimes you get got. And that's what I said earlier. The thing that I love about these three upsets, I'm counting the Missouri A&M game as an upset because no one had 41-10. Even if you thought A&M was going to win, you didn't think it was going to be this. All three of them, and we'll get to Tennessee, Arkansas in a minute, were mostly because of the plan put in place, being patient with said plan, and executing said plan. That's what it was. And that's impressive, man. Like, that is when you get when that starts happening, like, I don't know. I love this. I love seeing it. The patience with a plan that you found and you developed and you put in and you coached your guys up on, to have the wherewithal to stick with it when maybe it's not always going great. Now, A&M's deal was a little bit different. Like, it was pretty good from the jump. And then on top of that, offensively, Connor Wigman was throwing darts. I had my doubts. I was like, man, this other kid's got some mobility, move around a little bit, give you some different things in the mesh read. Like, that might be Colin Klein's offense, likes quarterback run. Maybe that's got to be the way to go. No. Connor Wigman is the way to go. Like, here's when you know a quarterback is on. When their misses are in the right spot. And that was one of my bigger takeaways from Connor Wigman in this game, is when he missed, it was where only his guy could get it. It was where he needed to miss. And that's big time. Running the football, I thought that offensive line's growing, man. They're coming around. Like, I thought Trey Zune had one of his better games, and he's sort of been the liability over there at left tackle. Chase Bisontis is really getting going. Like, Fatherly had to get some reps, but the offensive line's starting to crank, and Le'Veon Moss is running hard. Great vision, good cutbacks. I saw Missouri defenders out of their gaps. I saw them displaced. I saw things overrun. I saw some things played under blocks that didn't need to be. And the last thing I think I have about this game, 31-point win, largest margin of victory for A&M ever versus an AP top 10 team. 512 yards. It's the most Missouri allowed this year. They had the most they had allowed was 325. Terry Bussey is going to be a weapon. Continues. I thought the receivers helped Connor Wigman too, which is big. Like, go back and attack a football or make an adjustment on a ball and make a play. But a couple of other guys up front defensively, like Rodis Johnson, we haven't called his name this year. I was like, who the hell is 56 in there? He was great. Scoring's amazing. I still love Cassius Howell, man. Cassius Howell might not have 20 sacks, but by God, he's going to affect the game, and he is going to fly around. Like, the motor does not stop. Big fan of that kid. The safeties made plays. So a lot of what they did, they're put in a position where, okay, safety, you come down, you have to make this play now, and they get ball carriers to the ground. A couple backs out of the backfield and then one or two down the field. Okay, like, you're going to give up something. But I felt really good about the defensive plan and the execution. I did not think Brady Cook looked comfortable the entire day. Some pitter-patter, ball out a little bit quick, eyes down a little bit quick. Understandable with the way things were going, but he could not get comfortable in this game. 13 of 31, 186 and a touchdown. It wasn't there. It wasn't going to be there. So really nice win for A&M, who now sits at 5-1. And just think about what we've said about a couple parts of this team. I mean, you got this tight end from Germany that's coming into his own. The other two tight ends, by the way, I thought the other two tight ends, I think it was 84 and 88, were both out there blocking folks, getting after it. Felt good about them for A&M. So if this offense is starting to find its rhythm, you have now the quarterback in place that can actually take you to the next spot. The defense is ripping. Other parts of the defense are coming together. Like, O-line's growing. Running backs are running. This could be one of those teams that, like, the slow climb over the course of a season. Watch out for A&M. Just saying. Ole Miss at South Carolina. Ole Miss is now 5-1. South Carolina goes to 3-2. And I will say this about this game. This is where things are weird when you watch them, kind of how I have to watch them on Sundays. 27-3. When I turned this game off, there is no way outside of watching the touchdowns that I would have thought that this was the score. Like, the play on the field did not equate to the score. And that's not a knock on Ole Miss. That's not overreaction to South Carolina. It's just there were things South Carolina did that looked really good. And then there were some things you're kind of like, Sellers 20 of 32, 162, and 1 pick. He ran 15 times for 55 yards. He has it. I'm just telling you, he has it. It's in there. He's got it. He's got to clean it up. He's got to figure out how to be a quarterback and not as much athlete. That'll come. I thought Lowell had a nice game plan. Dowell had a nice game plan for him where you were going to utilize the mesh. You were going to get some east and west stuff going. Maybe a little bit too much of that. They need some things down the field. Mazio Bennett can be a weapon. Gage Larvadian can be a weapon. Joshua Simon is so valuable. A tight end. He's physical. He gets out in the flat. He catches the ball well. He's got good run after catch. He really does a lot for that offense. A lot for that offense. Rocket Sanders kind of couldn't get him going, specifically between the tackles. Thought the Ole Miss front did a nice job. Pegues had a good game, not only running the football, a couple touchdowns, but also defensively, like he and Walter Nolan were stuffing things up. Perkins, number 4 for Ole Miss, man, he is active. Like he can get to the quarterback. He can track things back down. Now, he'll run himself out of a couple plays, which is, I mean, listen, we'd rather coach the aggressiveness out of you. But he impacts things more than he hurts things. Like he is valuable in the game. Jared Ivey on the edge was pretty good. Chris Paul had a really nice game. Daughtery had a good game. Like seeing 6 flying around. Pete told us about him a couple weeks ago. He's like, this kid, I'm telling you. I thought it was a solid performance from the Ole Miss defense. The South Carolina offensive line did not play well. And they're just a little bit limited with the personnel that they have. But the South Carolina defensive line ripped again. And everybody's just going to be like, oh, yeah, Dylan Stewart off the edge. No. TJ Sanders was great inside. Boogie Huntley was great inside. They had multiple interior defensive linemen consistently causing problems. Kyle Kennard did a couple of things off the edge. Like it was Tonka Hemingway, disruptive. Once again, Jackson Dart, too many hits. And listen, he had the one run later where he puts his shoulder down. I know he's trying to prove some things, and like he's that guy. He's a tough kid. I'm not never say he's not. I love watching him play. But this is gonna be a long season. And physical preservation is going to be important for a guy like him because he's so important to this team. You just knew Juice Wells was going to get his. Couple fumbles for Ole Miss. Got to clean that up. Trey Harris, dog, did some really good things. Probably didn't get it to him enough. And now you see Matt Jones getting going at tailback. Like, you saw a good little burst from him every now and then, and Parrish was a real deal. The run game was not consistent. I think South Carolina D-line had a lot to do with that and the linebackers. But able to spread that defense out enough to where you're able to find some things and get a pretty comfortable win. What I liked for Ole Miss was red zone. And it's, Pegues is the main guy on goal line, but showed some different things from a red zone perspective that I think are going to be able to allow them to continue to have success down there. So, listen, it was a solid win on the road, tough environment. Offensive line didn't play well. Quarterback got the hell knocked out of him, and you win the game. And with what happened to everybody else, like you're kind of back in this thing. If anybody thought you're out, like you're right there in the thick of it now. So you don't have to worry about anything. Ole Miss is allowing 7.5 points per game. That's the fewest in their first 6 games since 1966. So solid win for the Ole Miss Rebels. All right, UCF in Florida. I liked what I saw from Florida in this game. I did. I mean, I liked it. I thought it was solid. And I thought that quarterbacks look good. Mertz, 19 of 23, 179, touchdown, no picks. Lagway, 4 for 4, 50 yards. That ball down the middle of the field from Lagway, ooh, buddy. You can watch the end zone copy, all 22. Like, it is a freaking seed. And the receiver, like, literally doesn't have to move his hands. It's you see that, and you're like, okay, we get it. Like, that's that guy. UCF 4-12 on third down, miserable. By the way, I don't think I dropped this earlier. Vanderbilt, 12 of 16 on third downs. Alabama had allowed 11 third down conversions through 4 games. But I liked what I saw from Florida. I thought the middle of the offensive line looked better, a little more continuity. And people are going to say, oh, it's UCF. It's a good football team, talented football team. I'll say that, talented football team. They're 3-2. Florida 3-2. Montrell ran hard. Montrell did some good things outside of the backfield. Jaden Ball is going to be a dude now. He runs one zone play to the left, and there's a defender coming straight through, makes him miss, gets outside, two other guys. He's 235. He looks 185 when he's making some of these lateral moves. I feel like 17 can be a playmaker. 6 made some plays. They have enough out there. They do. It's just finding a way to get the ball down there more and not as much on the perimeter and intermediate middle. It's down the field where the attack needs to find its way just a little bit more. The thing I loved the most was the defensive line. Super active. Cam Jackson in the backfield a lot, often. Loved him in this game. Tyreek Sapp got back there some. I thought he had a good game. 88 was in the backfield a bunch. And again, that's not always, like Caleb Banks, not always 3 or 4 sacks. Disruptive. Hurting timing, rhythm, making quarterbacks' eyes come down. Like all those things are valuable. And they're going to need it next because when you're looking at what they have done to that team before, that they get next, they're going to have to do that again. Fewer numbers in the box, big physical bodies eating up blocks. Go look what Travis Williams just did. We're going to talk about that in a second. But I thought this was a solid win for Florida. Showed some good things. Austin Barber, big pull out on a corner, smashing him. I like that. And like I said, just the middle of the O-line, the middle of the D-line, more physical, more active. I thought 6 on defense. Shamar James was flying around. He made some good plays. And they handled their business the way that they should. Now, they were an underdog, so you say I can't really use the handle their business because they were an underdog at home. But you go get a pretty nice win against a very talented football team. So, Florida, nice job. All right, Tennessee and Arkansas. Arkansas 19, Tennessee 14. Tennessee goes to 4-1. Arkansas is 4-2. Big win for Sam Pittman. Big game win for Travis Williams. Bobby Petrino called a good game. 332 yards for Tennessee, 431 for Arkansas. Taylon Green, 19 of 27, 266. He exits the game late. 10 flags for Tennessee. That was big. Dylan Sampson still 22 for 138, 2 touchdowns. He was big. Austin Armstrong for Arkansas, 9 for 132. But here's what happened. So Travis Williams, we've all read about it, seen it now. He implements this 2-3-6 defense, 3-2-6 defense, whatever it is. It was a large part, a little bit of what Georgia had done, some other teams had done, and that Florida plan I talked about from a couple of years ago where Cam Jackson in the middle just ruined it. You got to give a ton of credit to, one, for Travis going back and looking at things and finding something that he believed would work and getting it in 1 week. Technically not even a week because you have less than a week to actually get it in. 2, getting his guys to buy in on it. And they did. They bought in. And then 3, executing it. But like I said before, sticking with the plan. And that's the beauty of it. Because did Dylan Sampson get a run here and there? Hell yeah, he did. Were there receivers open that maybe Nico missed a couple of times and you're like, uh-oh, yes. But you stuck with your plan. You didn't panic and you didn't run from it and say, oh, we got to get to something else. Like we talked to Sam Pittman on Read and React today about sticking with the plan. He goes, you always have a backup plan. You have to. But you have to be diligent sticking with that plan that you believed in first. So, Jaquindon Jackson, 57 yards rushing. Braylon Russell, loved the way he was running. 62 yards on the ground, averaged almost 8 yards a carry. Malachi Singleton comes in and finishes it off. And you talk about sticking with your plan. Like when you have a dedicated offensive plan and your backup quarterback can come in and you don't have to change a whole lot of things, that's confidence in your plan. And that's what I thought Arkansas had. But back to that defense. A couple of guys I want to point out. Landon Jackson, obviously. We all know 40 by now for Arkansas, like a defensive end. He makes plays. Eric Gregory, Cam Ball, 50 and 5 in the middle. They made this thing go. Strike, shed, 2-gap. They did it. And it was a problem. They did it against a really good center a lot of the time. Tennessee's O-line still played hard. I was disappointed with the left tackle. Some of that effort is not what it needs to be. The effort from the other guys was pretty good. It's a weird front. It's a different front. And some of the inserts weren't really going the way to there's some claustrophobia in there. Like it starts to get icky and you don't know when to come off and when to stay on. And some of the down blocks don't work and you pull and a new guy shows up. It's hard. It's not easy. But a couple of things you have to do what Travis did in this game. One, those D linemen that I talked about. You got to have some war daddies up front now. And they don't have a ton of them, but they got a couple. And 50 and 5, they got it done on a regular basis. The next thing you have to have, some linebackers that can friggin' run, because they're going to have to cover space. So now you play middle on some routes, and you can hang out there closer to some of those exterior alignment with the receivers, and you don't have to run as much to get out there. But when you do need to run, they can cover that ground, and then cover it back in. One of the cooler parts was number 30 for Arkansas, Larry Worth. So this kid played linebacker at Jacksonville State last year. I think he had like 128 tackles. Well, he was essentially middle field safety in this game. But they played him down a lot, obviously against the run. But because you had so many DBs on the field, his coverage responsibility was not what you would normally ask from a safety, because you knew he was going to be more for the physicality and the tackling than he was actually rolling down and having to make play. And he came down and played like basically linebacker a lot of the time. But this plan disrupted what Josh wanted to do offensively. And then on top of that, you start going with simulated pressures, walking guys up, bailing guys out, moving guys around, and the quarterback got confused. He's young. Like, do not forget that this was the 6th game that he has started. So people that are mad and saying, oh, he doesn't have it and can he bounce back? Good Lord, man. He hasn't even started half a season. Like, just calm down. The same thing on Kalen DeBoer, man. Like, calm down. There's a lot of ball left, first and foremost. A lot of ball left. So just wait. And let's see how some people react. But this was one where the plan worked. And worked well. And I'll give the Arkansas staff a ton of credit. Bobby Petrino's plan. All right, they come out. We knew they were going to embrace the hog, right? That's what they told us. We're going to embrace the hog. Well, you utilize your tight end. You knew you had your go-to receiver in Armstrong. You ran the ball a little bit. You changed the mesh point up some. What I love that they did most was they utilized that attacking front against them. So some pin and pull stuff where you want to come upfield, cool, we'll read it and go underneath. You want to come upfield, we'll crack back on the toss. That's an easy block for a tight end or a receiver, and we'll get outside. And I think it took Tennessee a little bit too long to adjust to that. But what you really had to enjoy was some of the old school football stuff you saw from Arkansas in this game. You got a wham play in this game, which is you allow a defensive lineman to run upfield, and that backside guard comes across, bah! Because he's humming upfield. He's thinking he's about to eat. And then from the side, never sees it, and it's a little quick hitting, like a little belly play. Then they actually ran belly twice. Offset fullback belly, regular fullback belly, down by the goal line. Here we go, 1988. I'm here for it. Let's go. And then maybe the best of all was Maddox Lassiter, 47, former walk-on. I think he was like a high school quarterback, playing fullback on a toss and decleats a Tennessee defender. I mean, a shot heard around the world. Just bah! That was some fun stuff to watch from the Arkansas offense. And to lose your quarterback, continue to battle, find a way to win, especially a team that's they're so battle-tested to stay positive and still find a way to win. And Nico had a chance late. I'm 100% with the plan to let him score, by the way. It's hard. It doesn't feel right. You don't like it, but I think that's your only shot right there. You kind of had to do it. So just like if you're trying to get more people to your business, you have to call the Better Business Bureau. Or just better yet, go to bbb.org, see what they can do for you today. Better Business Bureau of Central and South Alabama. They want to help you. Offices in Birmingham and Mobile. They want to get people to your business. New website. They can help you design it. Social media work. They can help you with that. Digital billboards. They got those covered. They want to get you traffic, whether it's actually in your storefront or online, and they can help. Go to bbb.org today and see what the Better Business Bureau of Alabama can do for you. So we got a massive weekend coming up. We just had a massive weekend. And you look ahead at some of what we got, man. I'm excited about this upcoming week. I'm going to be in Lexington. I'm pumped to see how Vanderbilt responds. I mean, that is an all-time win. Like, that is a program-changing, historic win. But I will say this quickly about it. If there is an individual with the mentality to get over that and get ready, Diego Pavia's got that. His brothers walked into our production meeting, by the way. Like, that is like here for the Pavia, needs to be a reality show. That is a crew, man. He had 60-something family members at the game. And I don't even want to consider thinking about what happened on Broadway with that bunch after that win. South Carolina's at Bama. Some of the things that worked for Vanderbilt, South Carolina's going to have in. They haven't been doing it as long. They're not quite as gritty yet, but we'll see. Missouri gets UMass. Red River, Quinn Ewers going to make the start. I'm anxious to see with the week off what the Oklahoma offense looks like, can maybe morph into just a little bit more to help Michael Hawkins. And how many receivers are going to play? Florida, Tennessee, we talked about it. Florida D-line has to be big. Has to be. And can the Florida offensive line manage that Tennessee front? Because they're still really good. I thought the Tennessee edges did some good things too. Like 27, first time we've seen him really show up in a while. Ole Miss at LSU. At night, tough. Vandy at Kentucky. That's going to be an interesting one now because you got two teams that are 3-2 that need to get ahead of the curve. Thank you guys for listening. Go support Wickles Pickles, Blue Delta Jeans, Better Business Bureau of Alabama, Prize Picks, promo code CUBE. Get signed up today. Just go in there and sign up. Spend $5, get $50. It's easy. We're back next week.